Hello and welcome. You're watching FII. I'm Rishika Barua. 7 days after Cyclone Nivar, now there's another cyclone Burevi that is all set to cross Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Now after Cyclone Amphan, Nisarga, Nivar, now Cyclone Burevi. Today on FII, we're going to look at the trajectory, the timelines of cyclones in India. Which months are more prone for cyclones? What are the geographical areas that are more prone in India and why? And most importantly, have cyclones over the years intensified? Have they become more frequent? We'll also try and understand how climate change is impacting India's cyclonic storms. Let's try and look at how climate change impacts cyclones. Now, climate change has led to a rise in ocean temperatures. Increased ocean temperatures, in fact, make cyclones more powerful. High sea surface temperatures increase cyclone wind speeds. And climate change, therefore, has not just increased the frequency but also the intensity of cyclones. So this is an extremely interesting phenomena that we look at on FII today. We'll also look at how seasons and geographies play out as far as cyclones are concerned. So the months of April to June, October to December are more prone to cyclones. The east coast in India has so far been more prone to cyclones than the west coast. The coastal belt of Andhra Pradesh, Orissa, Karnataka, Kerala, West Bengal, Maharashtra, the Konkan belt and Goa. These are the areas that are more prone to cyclones actually being formed. Now, cyclones are stronger and more frequent in the Bay of Bengal than in the Arabian Sea typically, because the relatively colder waters of the Arabian Sea have so far deterred strong cyclones. But here is where the climate change factor can be felt as far as India's cyclonic storms are concerned, because after 100 years, for the first time in 2019, there were 5 cyclones that originated in the Arabian Sea. So this is clearly a shift from the normal. So there are several big questions at the moment that we look to answer, and we'll be joined by a panel of experts to try and help us understand the phenomena of cyclones in India. But first, let me go across to my colleague Divya Vadva. Divya, you've been researching on this and covering several of these cyclones as well. Break it down for our viewers. Has the intensity and the frequency of cyclones increased over the years?
Yes, of course, Rishika, the cyclone intensity as well as severity, that has increased, and the reason behind that is the warming of the sea temperature. The sea surface temperature, that is increasing, and that has led, in fact, to the intensity of these storms. So when we talk about the frequency of intense cyclones, those have increased. So when we talk about the wind speed or the kind of rainfall that is expected during a storm, that has also increased, especially the wind speed. Now, the kind of winds that come about as far as cyclone is concerned, we've had 5 this year so far. And in fact, last year we had 8 cyclones. Typically in a cyclonic month, in fact in a season of cyclones, which is usually, like you mentioned, April to June, and then we have a cyclone season which is from October to December. We usually have, in the entire year, we have about 4 to 5 cyclones. That's considered normal. Out of those 5 cyclones, only 2 make landfall, and out of those 5 cyclones, there are only 2 which happen to be severe. But when they're severe, we are expecting more rainfall and more winds. The kind of winds that are coming about, those winds are stronger this time around as far as due to the climate change. So we're seeing that kind of impact. Also, when we talk about, you mentioned that there are more cyclonic storms that occur in the east side. Yes, about 80% more and about 20% only in the Arabian Sea. But you also mentioned that last year we had many more cyclones that occurred along the Arabian Sea, and of course this time around we're seeing that the winds that are coming about, as far as the Arabian Sea is concerned, the winds are getting stronger. So those are the kind of changes we're seeing as far as the pattern of the cyclones in the country are concerned.
All right. It's very interesting that you break down all these details for us, because this is an important story for us in a week where India is actually now bracing for its second cyclone. Sneha joins us from Kerala. But Sneha, good news, if one can call it, that the cyclone's actually weakened into a deep depression, and in a few hours it's likely to weaken further. Where are you right now, and what more can you tell us?
Well, Rishika, we're coming to you from outside the Secretariat. The offices are closed today. There are 5 districts in Kerala where the government has announced for a public holiday today. Thiruvananthapuram, Kollam, Ernakulam, Alappuzha and Idukki. And this was announced late yesterday. Now, the operations at the Thiruvananthapuram airport, which including the international as well as the domestic, have also been suspended today from 10 o'clock in the morning to 6 p.m. as a preventive measure. But what does seem to be as a relief is that the cyclone has weakened into a deep depression, is soon likely to further weaken into a depression. It was supposed to reach Ramanathapuram across it was supposed to cross between Pamba and Kanyakumari late last night or early today morning and reach Kerala by today evening, cross over Kerala, Kollam, Thiruvananthapuram area and go into Arabian Sea. But that timing, of course, now would change. The impact so likely different. Earlier it was estimated that the wind speeds in Kerala at least would be below 60 kilometers per hour. And that's also something that might change as the intensity reduces over the period of time. There are relief camps which have been earmarked just in case there's some emergency and evacuations, relief operations would be required. So on the ground, there's preparedness. There's also 8 teams of NDRF which are in Kerala, but the impact likely to be much lesser.
All right, appreciate you, Sneha, for joining us with the very latest. So, Cyclone Burevi is the latest cyclone that we're covering. It has weakened into a deep depression. So, the impact that will be felt in Kerala and Tamil Nadu, and especially along the coast, will actually be much lower. Well, let's try and understand the phenomena of cyclones and how it's evolved and changed over the course of the last few years. With an Indian perspective, of course, we have Mrityunjay Mahapatra. He's the head of the Indian Met Department in India. Thank you very much for sparing the time of day and being with us. We have Professor Anil Gupta, who's the professor of National Institute of Disaster Management from the government, and we have Mr. G.P. Sharma of SkyMet with us as well. Appreciate you, gentlemen, for sparing the time of day. Mr. Mahapatra, I want to begin by asking you, apart from the fact that you head the Met Department in India, you're also, I'm told, a cyclone expert. What's your reading, of how the phenomena of cyclonic storms in India has changed? The frequency has become more, and the storms that we're seeing are also more intense, aren't they?
The cyclonic storms usually develop over North Indian Ocean in 2 seasons. One is April to June, that is pre-monsoon season, and the other one is October to December. On the average, we get about 4 to 5 cyclones. If I take the average for the period 1990 to 2020, it comes out to be about 4 per year. And out of these 4 to 5 cyclones, 2 to 3 become severe cyclones. So, if you compare the season-wise variations, in the post-monsoon season, we get more intense cyclones, and Bay of Bengal is more prone for the cyclonic activity than the Arabian Sea. Out of, say, 4 to 5 cyclones, 80% develop over Bay of Bengal, 20% develop over Arabian Sea.
Yes.
Similarly, during post-monsoon season, you will have 80% of cyclones, and pre-monsoon season, you will have 20% of cyclones. So, the climate change has the impact in various types of extreme weather, including the climate. But impact is different in different ocean basins. And as a member of the international expert group of the impact of climate change and tropical cyclones, I want to mention here that we have carried out the analysis of the impact of global warming on the frequency and intensity of the cyclones over different ocean basins, including Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea. And also we analyzed about their landfalling impact in terms of the wind, rainfall, storm surge, etc. So what we find actually, the frequency of cyclones does not show any significant increase.
Okay.
At the same time, the frequency of intense cyclones, it is increasing over many ocean basins.
Very interesting. So you're saying that the frequency of, in terms of the number of cyclones, hasn't really shown a change, but it's the intensity that one needs to worry about. I want to then, Dr. Mahapatra, very quickly ask you a follow-up question. The intensity of the cyclone, for a lay person to understand, isn't it then directly linked with the temperature of the surface of the sea level? For instance, we are told that, it's pretty unprecedented to see 5 cyclones originate in the Arabian Sea. Typically, the colder water of the Arabian Sea, for instance, has so far prevented severe cyclonic storms from originating in the Arabian Sea. So, are you seeing a shift, therefore?
The genesis and intensification of a cyclone depends upon both the atmospheric characteristics and also the oceanic characteristics.
Right.
Among the oceanic characteristics, it is the ocean heat content, that is the upper layer of the ocean. The energy is trapped because of the heating of the sea surface. And as we know, due to the climate change, there has been a rapid increase in sea surface temperature.
Right.
It is not simply the sea surface temperature, but also the layer, say of 250 to 60 meters.
Okay.
It has become warmer. And this warming of the sea surface provides sufficient energy.
Yes.
As and when there is development of a cyclogenesis or a formation of a cyclonic system, this warm ocean provides the required heating energy and also the moisture. And as a result, it accelerates the intensification.
Yes.
The other factor is that it is found that the atmospheric conditions. For example, if you compare the Bay of Bengal Arabian Sea, our study, whatever we have given the report to IPCC also,
Yes.
it shows that over the Arabian Sea, the number of intense cyclones are increasing since 1990s.
Right.
And it is mainly because of, yes, it can be attributed to many factors, but we have got low confidence to attribute it to the anthropogenic factors.
So I think, but I think what you've established in a certain sense, Dr. Mahapatra, is the direct linkage between climate change, global warming and the intensity of cyclones. I think, let me bring in Mr. GP Sharma into the conversation here as well. Mr. Sharma, would you agree? Has your analysis also shown the same thing, that there is a very direct, a very obvious linkage between climate change and global warming and the intensity or the severity of cyclonic storms that India is witnessing? And does that worry you, especially in context with the Arabian Sea?
Yes. It goes without saying that there is a climate change, there is a global warming resulting that change. And that's reflecting in terms of the number of cyclones, I will also say, and then intensity also. Okay. 2018, we saw 7 cyclones coming up, 3 of them in the Arabian Sea and 4 of them in the Bay of Bengal. Out of that, one was extremely severe cyclonic storm, okay, Makunu, though it moved away from the coast. 2019, we nearly saw 9. Yes, 8 on record, but 9th one also, it was nearly a cyclonic storm. The other agencies, they did make it declare also. But then out of those, 6 of them, they formed in the Arabian Sea and 3 in the Bay of Bengal. Okay, so whatever distribution we expect otherwise, the storms are known to defy those things. Sometimes they defy even the tracks, the timeline, like the last one did. And second thing which I feel to bring out at this forum is the intensity of the storm. Possibly 2 things matter. One is the longer the sea travel, the better are the chances for this to become more intense. As DG also said, basically they draw the energy from the sea surface.
Yes.
Sea surface definitely is hotter now.
Yes.
And secondly, they should be forming outside the equatorial belt. You saw this cyclone Nivar, it was a little higher in latitude.
Yes.
It struck Puducherry. This one which we have now, Burevi, it never went beyond 9° north. It never intensified.
Right.
So lower latitude, because of a scientific reason, we call it as that's a forces there, Coriolis forces there. They do not pick up strength because that amount is very, very low. Next to the equator, storm will not form at all. So intensity as well as their frequency, it depends where do they form and how much sea travel they have and where are they going to heading for.
So the more sea travel they have, the higher the intensity of the storm. That's essentially the point that you're making. That's very interesting. But you know, the other phenomena which has been a huge source of worry, and Professor Gupta, if you'd like to come in here, is how prepared are we? You know, given the fact that, you know, you've heard both Mr. Sharma and Dr. Mahapatra stress on the fact that the intensity of cyclones, is a cause of concern, especially in the urban landscape. You know, we saw what happened in Kolkata, for instance. We saw that there was a threat perception which was very high for Mumbai as well when Nisarga struck. So is India better prepared, especially the urban areas that are prone?
Yeah, very important question you have asked, and I think there has been a very great effort particularly in establishing coordinated mechanism.
Right.
And the benefits are the kind of the impact we have been seeing in dealing with the cyclones. Just now we had managed a cyclone, and particularly now, so this time it is weakening. So this is something really a good news, and it is relatively quite lesser in intensity as compared to the previous ones.
Right.
But if we look at the cyclone Amphan, it was equal or a little bit even higher than the previous super cyclone. And the initiative, great role played by our meteorological system, IMD,
Yes.
and Dr. Mahapatra is a cyclone man. So from three parts, the coordination is very effective, and efforts are very impactful. One is the state government. The state government has really done a very significant preparedness by having cyclone shelters, by having local level preparedness.
Yes.
And then central government mechanism of disaster response. We have disaster response force and other kind of forces, and
Right.
we are able to mobilize as soon as possible. And then certainly our early warning is really a great contribution.
Right. Dr. Mahapatra, would you like to come in there? In terms of India's preparedness, one has seen that there was a lot of damage that was caused by Cyclone Amphan. It has perhaps been one of the most damaging storms that India has seen in the recent history. We saw Cyclone Fani that caused a lot of damage as well. But in terms of mitigating the loss of life, even the recent cyclones that have happened, one has seen that the intensity has been quite high, but we've been able to manage them better. So is India, would you go so far as to say that we are better prepared, and why are we better prepared now than before to deal with the increasing intensity of cyclones?
India has come off a long way with respect to cyclone disaster management. Basically, we learned lesson from a great disaster. It all happened after the Kerala cyclone 1998 and Odisha super cyclone 1999, where we have got massive loss of life and property. Thereafter, the Government of India, concerned state government, science and technology institutes, organizations, and early warning agencies like IMD came together. A lot of initiatives are taken off in project mode, and which fruits were seen starting from 2010 onwards. And it was quite visible in 2013 when Phylline cyclone crossed Gopalpur and Odisha coast. It was very severe cyclone storm, almost equal to super cyclone, but death was only 21 compared to 10,000 deaths in 1999. And thereafter, the success stories have been repeated year after year. And now we have seen in Cyclone Niwar, only 3 deaths have been reported, even though it was a very severe cyclone storm with 200 kmph.
Yes.
So it is possible because of the improvement in early warning system of India Meteorology Department and Ministry of Earth Sciences. It has been possible because of the proactive approach of the Government of India and concerned state government, adoption of the projects like National Cyclone Risk Mitigation Project, and adoption of response mechanism, as Gupta Sahab was telling.
I want to ask you, GP Sharma, if I can bring you back into the conversation. How has climate change, which also causes, irregular, increased rainfall, more spells of intense rainfall, and you've been here on several shows with us where we've talked about urban flooding, the idea of urban flooding, intense spells of rain being seen. How does that affect when a cyclone hits? Has the increased water levels also impacted how badly an area is hit by a cyclone?
Obviously. See, the cyclone, as DG Mahapatra brought out, you see, over a period of time, we have improved. The technique has improved. Early warning is there. You can you can dictate the track of the cyclone. You can track its timelines. So by and large, I think it's very, very accurate, and that is what we have been mitigating the effects of the cyclone. Now, coming to the global warming and how does the climate change? Obviously, it is not only the cyclone. You must have noticed the other high impact weather events, be it the heat wave, be it the floods in different seasons, you find a change. All that is a repercussion of the climate change which is there globally. Okay, this particular season, this was the stormy season for the Atlantic, for the US, the second highest. 30 cyclones they formed. Out of this, there were more than 10 was hurricane of category 3 and above. Can you imagine? So all this is a reflection of the climate change, global warming, it is resulting everywhere, be it the Indian Ocean, be it the Atlantic Ocean, be it the Pacific Ocean. You see the number of typhoons which we had this time, obviously, it exceeded the average number. And all that is because of the global warming, climate change. I don't see it now anything happening in the near future that wherein we have a reduction in these events. We got to be prepared for these. All the seasons, I will say, even the cyclonic storms and the other seasons. Yes.
All right, Dr. Mahapatra, you wanted to come in.
Yeah, I want to say that I just want to add that in addition to the impact in terms of the frequency and intensity, the climate change has also impact on rainfall and its impact in terms of damages.
Right.
I'll tell you, our study says that in certain ocean basins, that also we have found in the Bay of Bengal basin, that the tropical cyclones are moving relatively slowly. So if a cyclone is approaching a particular coast and it is moving slowly, for example, if it was taking earlier 3 hours to cross the coast, now it will take 5 hours to cross the coast.
Right.
Therefore, the maximum wind and rainfall will be longer over the coastal area while the system is crossing the coast. Therefore, you can expect more damage, even if there is no change in the frequency, for example. Because of this slow movement, the impact will be less.
Right.
This number. The number two is that because of this global warming impact, as and when a low pressure system crosses a coast, especially in tropical belt like India,
that's very interesting. Yes.
There is additional burden of moisture in the tropospheric atmosphere. And that moisture helps to have more intense rainfall activity.
Okay, so not just more intense cyclonic storms, higher wind speeds, but also a longer duration of landfall has caused sustained and more damage. I want to give you, Professor Anil Gupta, the last word, because all it really boils down to is how are we mitigating this? There's no escaping the severity of a cyclone that is being formed. There's no escaping the impact of climate change. What is our strategy going forward as a country to better be able to deal with the impact of the cyclones that we are going to be facing in the future?
Two last points which I would like to add. One is that the greater emphasis has to be now given to local level capacity building and local level preparedness, because at the policy level, planning level, and also early warning systems have quite improved, and we are regularly updating and improving that. And second thing is that we also should also take into account the land use and landscape changes. And as you were referring to the increasing incidences and the geographical coverage of urban flooding. So and that also has some implications of climate change. So climate change also, anthropogenic changes also. So that aspect can also not be ignored.
All right. So a whole host of reasons and a whole host of factors that are impacting cyclonic storms in India. The frequency hasn't increased dramatically, but the intensity definitely has. And I hope that this very interesting conversation has put a lot of these developments that we see in the news every day, and we hope that it's put it in perspective for our viewers. I'm afraid that's all we have time for on FYI. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for sparing the time of day and being with us.